words, we need to adopt practices of the fascists for today, which I hope is readily apparent is totally fallacious and sinister. So I saw what was coming out of the Bush administration. They picked up all these people in Afghanistan. Rumsfeld saying they're the worst of the worst. They had almost 900 people at one time, and having been paying attention to what goes on, low intensity conflict for a number of years, I knew better than what they were saying about this. So anyway, I hung on as a JAG attorney, and when the chance came, I volunteered to go and be a defense attorney in the military commissions. And there I really had my eyes open on both the incompetence of the CIA, who really runs Guantanamo, the incompetence of the military, the covering up of their own incompetence, and on and on and on. But in the course of that, I had to do a lot of research on what the United States is now going back to claiming is our domestic common law war. And that's a civil war case between the one time during our history, the entire northern states, not the south, but the northern states were under martial law. And anybody saying even something embarrassing about the Army was put under military arrest and put in front of military commissions, or somebody's shouting out that Lincoln's an incompetent would get you in front of a military commission. That's how bad it was. The Supreme Court got rid of that precedent immediately after the Civil War, and nobody brought it up again until Dick Cheney and John Yoo and David Addington decided, hey, this worked good. It worked once during the Civil War. We can impose this system of repression on the United States again using this as precedent. And that's still what the United States is arguing in Guantanamo. This is our domestic common law war. Well, you got to put all these things together in a mosaic to really see where it's going. So then at the same time, we have the 2012 National Defense Authorization Act providing that people who are suspected of terrorism will be put in military detention pending disposition under the law of war. So you ask, which law of war? Well, it's our domestic common law of war. So right back in the Civil War, repression that is liable to be pulled up anytime, just depending upon how much they think they can get by with. And immediately then, you have people, dissidents, who are being put into military detention on the grounds that they're suspected of aiding the terrorists, not even being terrorists, and we're in a system of police state. And that's all been created now, and it's just a matter of when is the other shoe going to drop.
So the question is, what can you do? When you're going up against a giant monster like the NSA and state surveillance, the thing you have to keep in mind, the thing you have to keep in mind is that the reason these programs are so effective is because we've made it so cheap to actually implement them. What I mean by this is we're all carrying around cell phones. Those cell phones are connected to a handful of large carriers. Those cell phones also don't do anything to protect our communications. Our text messages, our phone calls, they all go to clear text that AT&T, Verizon, Sprint can see, intercept, and give to the NSA. What you need to do if you want to try and stop or slow down the system is you need to raise the cost of doing it. And that comes from all of you having to start using secure tools for communications. Now, I won't get into a whole lot of detail here. I will say that I am with a group called Crypto Party MN. We are going to be having an event on part of B-Side Security Conference, June 13th and 14th at the Target Common Plaza. If you would like to learn about secure communication tools that raise the cost of doing state surveillance like this, feel free to show up. It's free of cost, and we will take all the time you need to teach you how to use some of these tools.
Thank you, that's very helpful.
Website?
Just go to bsidesmsp.org. That'll have the event information.
I wanted to add something to what one of the subjects that Todd brought up there. That was the NDA, National Defense Authorization Act. The section he was addressing there was Section 1021 that authorized the president to declare somebody a terrorist threat, have the military take them off the street and incarcerate them indefinitely with no due process. That is Special Order 48. It says almost exactly the same. Special Order 48 was issued by the Nazis in 1933 after the Reichstag fire, and that's how they got rid of all of their opponents, the communists and everybody else, off to the Gulag or off to the concentration camps. Right? That's exact. It says exactly the same thing. All you have to do is Google it and read it on the web.
Thank you very much. I am going to turn this over to Tony Stiles again. some additional comments to make. Thank you very much.
All right, everybody, I hope we've had a good time here, and that's, by that I mean informative and great. In my experience of being in radio, I usually come up with a good anecdote at this point, but I'm not going to because I'm not on radio. So I'm just going to hand it over to my friend Nick over here. And give him a good round of applause. This guy has done a great job. Microphone doesn't stretch that far, Nick.
I don't need that.
All right, go for
I
it.
can handle it. Can you hear me? Yeah. All right, perfect. Thank you very much, panel. Thank you, Mr. Benny, for showing up. I think this has been great. Has it been fun?
Yeah.
Thanks, Tony. Thanks especially to Heather for putting all the questions together. Let's give Heather a hand. And give yourself a hand for showing up and coming up with wonderful questions and participating. You know, I always like to give the last word, but I can't because David Arvidsson is going to come in. He's going to get the last word.
Before you give the last word, can I say one last thing I wanted to add?
Sure.
Okay,
What can
how
you
long
do?
is it going to take?
What can you do? You know, I was very disappointed when I went to a Tea Party meeting when I came back from D.C. 2 years ago, and one of the first things said was some young woman got up and said, "Turn off the TV and take your kids out to movies. Go take them and see Zero Dark 30, which was the documentary, you could say, of the CIA torturing human beings. So the one thing you can do is right off the bat is begin calling your Congress members, anybody else who's in power, and demand accountability for the recognized war crimes committed by the CIA and anyone else involved in the torture, and put aside any biases you might have that, well, they're terrorists, they deserved it, because that's totally false, and realize that we have CIA people who we have evidence now have committed war crimes, and if there isn't accountability for that, there'll never be any other kind of accountability. So that's a place to begin right now, demand accountability for the war crimes committed by our U.S. government.
All right. David Arvidsson.
Oh, gee,
Oh, wait, not David
I
Arvidsson.
just had one thing to add to what Todd was talking about there. In the case against John Kiriakou, if you don't know John, he was ex-CIA, who exposed one of the names of the torturer. The CIA went after him, and he spent 32 months in jail. So he was one who exposed the torture, and that they gave retroactive immunity to all the people who did the torture. What kind of country is that?
All right, very good. Now, are we ready? We're ready. If not for David, we wouldn't be here tonight. Thank you, David.
I just wanted to say, if you are not currently in some sort of a liberty group, I would encourage all of you to join one. There are plenty around. Liberty-leaning groups are a wonderful place to explore ideas, concepts, and brainstorm outcomes. Some groups, like those led by my friend Nick, have been around and doing just that for many years. Some others are relatively new. Doesn't matter. A group can help in getting you comfortable thinking a concept all the way through. Then you can share your thoughts with friends, families, whomever you are comfortable with. It is how liberty will grow. Liberty people want you to make your own decisions. We all fail, we all succeed, but as a group we can stand more firmly for that ingrained human need, want, and desire we all have to be masters of one's own self. After all, who cares more about the decisions that you make than you do? Liberty ideas won't always win, and the arguments we present won't always be popular, but when we lose as a group, we can seek to be compensated more thoroughly. Liberty people have been called everything from potheads and isolationists to anarchists and fools. I call Liberty people my friends. Thank you, everybody, for being here this evening.